What was once a cornfield now sits a sprawling campus known as Redemption Christian Church. In small town rural southern Indiana 23 years ago, an upstart church began with a handful of people, and God has grown it to an impactful church of more than 2,000 with campuses in 3 towns. How did this happen? What did God use to not just make a church grow, but create a movement of Christ followers who are brought into the mission of loving God, loving people, and changing the world? This is the Redemption Story, a series of programs in association with Redemption Christian Church and the Kevin R. Smith Company that attempts to tell a bit of the story of what God has done and is doing at and through Redemption Christian Church. Well, there we're back, and we've got the new kid on the block, so to speak. Doug Stevenson here, who's taken over as campus minister. And last week we had a chance to talk a little bit about Doug and how it came to be with this position and opportunity. And Doug, let me start out first, if I may. But first of all, again, congratulations. And I know the whole church just excited to have you here. And you know, we were talking off camera just a moment ago about how with the row, you attended your first full hands meeting or all hands meeting, full staff meeting recently in a new row, and you talked about the excitement when you walked through the lobby in that piece. Describe that from your perspective.
You know, it's like I said, we had the first all staff meeting, you know, since I've been on staff here Monday, and you know, I told all them that, you know, I really appreciate the support. You know, again, I said, you know, last week that, you know, this is not a spot that I ever expected myself to be in. I never envisioned myself in this kind of a role. So the support has been really, really big. You know, the staff here I have worked with and around, you know, for years. So there's not too many surprises with the stuff here. You know, it's, you know, being in the lobby has been different for sure, but the support there has been just the same, which, you know, is really, you know, makes me feel a lot more comfortable. You know, I'm not going to say that I feel appreciated or that I feel noticed, because, you know, it's hard not to notice the bald guy out there in the lobby, but you know, the support has just been really good. You know, it's really nice to be in the lobby and, you know, have people that you've seen for years, but you don't necessarily know the names, come up to you and say, you know, they're rooting for you and that you're going to do a great job.
You know, Doug, you're in this row. Just talk a little bit about the row itself. I know about a month or so before Ryan Stiles decided to leave, and I credit the Redemption Story for helping him get that next big opportunity rather than costing him the row, right? It moved him up, not down in that regard. But from your perspective, just kind of talk about the row and some of the things as you're getting, for lack of a better word, used to or beginning to execute the duties that maybe you're looking at, and how will Doug go about making those things him?
Well, what I really feel like my role is to do everything I can to make Daryl and LG's roles go a lot smoother. You know, if I can, you know, take care of a lot of the little stuff so that they can deal with, you know, the sermons or, you know, just bigger issues. You know, that's what I feel like I'm here for, is to do whatever I can to make everybody else's jobs a little bit easier.
And definitely one of the areas that a campus pastor does that helps that out is a lot of pastoral care type of things. And that's an area where Doug's already got the personality to do that. He's already done that as an elder and as a youth coach. And so that's pretty easy. I think probably one of the biggest things that I could see that probably he's getting used to now already is like, you got to be up on stage some. And that's not probably his. If he was picking one of his favorite parts to do, that's probably.
I was getting ready to say, you grab the microphone and charge out there. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they send me out there to do. So, you know, I actually stand over here and I pray every time that I go out there. You know, that you know, God will just give me the strength to put His words out there, and I do my best to take me out of the way and just let Him work.
It's from the heart.
Yeah.
That's one of the things about Daryl, the team, and yourself, and Ryan Stiles, and even Joey behind the scenes back there. He doesn't make faces at us. He doesn't bring any fun to us yet, but we're working on that piece. but it's about the heart is there.
Yeah.
In this church, I mean, even the people in the congregation enter the lobby. You can sense everybody's just themselves in that regard.
Yeah, yeah. I don't feel like there's anything fake, that I've ever seen here. Everything is from the heart. Those are my actual very favorite sermons when Daryl walks away from his notes and it just pours out of his heart. And I've told him for years. I said, there's those Sundays like that. It's like he's just talking directly to me.
I was usually.
2,000 other people felt the same way, right?
Yeah. I tee him up and he hits him out.
That's the best way to do it, right? At least it gets off the tee in that regard.
Yeah.
But Doug, last week in the episode, you talked about being at the church more than 20 years, even in your private business when you were operating and basically the owner, the worker, with a couple of helpers representing God in that piece. Share a little bit with what you're comfortable with about your journey with God that's led to the person we see here today.
Well, I have felt like God has always been a part of my life. I had a neighbor, invite me to church, when I was young. And, I used to ride church bus to Hillham every week, and that was really good. And again, it really comes down to my wife again. Shortly after we got married, the couple that had introduced us on a blind date said, hey, Daryl's got this new church going in Jasper. You ought to come check it out. And it made it a lot easier, like I said last week, that it was somebody that I knew, even though I didn't have a relationship with Daryl at that time. When you go to a small school, you know who everybody is. So I knew who Daryl was. We went, felt like home. I hit a really dark patch on my own. Had gone through a divorce and had some issues with my kids. And I was away from the church for quite a while. And, I found, I didn't feel like I ran from God. I just quit. And so one Sunday, my wife and daughter, they continue to go. And one Sunday, my daughter looks up at me and says, Dad, why aren't you going to church? And, I knew that was her that spoke that, but I knew where those words came from. It was straight from God, and I've never had anything punch me like that ever. And the next Sunday rolled around, and I was in church. And there have been very few, Sundays that I've missed since then. I look forward to Sunday coming. I wish there were more days like Sunday. Same child, our youngest daughter, is the one that spoke that to me. We got baptized the same Sunday, right over here. Daryl baptized me in Worship Center B, and it was a great day. My daughter had to go first. That's the household that we live in. Two of you going, somebody's going to win, and she got in the water first. So, that's things have just built from there. But like I said, my wife, I feel like has been there, not really pushing me, but she's had that voice, like I said in the last week's episode, that, we're going to be greeters, and before that there was a Sunday or one time she said, hey, we're going on this mission trip. We went on a mission trip to Kentucky and never done that. And, it was a really neat thing. So she has been there, again, not pushing, but, she's been there. And, I appreciate that. I appreciate her more than she'll ever know.
Well, thank you for the vulnerability. And God's coming out in you as we speak in this aspect. And, Daryl talked a little bit, and what resonates with me as Doug speaks here, many things that you've helped coach and share with us throughout the podcast, but even on Sunday, whether it's in the lobby and you're on stage. But I was on a podcast a few days ago, and the topic was just failure. How do you deal with failure? And what Doug is stating is many of us, and I believe as a leader, or whether it's along our purpose as we try to find that purpose, so to speak, or move closer to God, every day we're falling short somewhere. Mm-hmm. We can't let that bury us down. And I love the moment when your daughter, because there's no words to say in that regard, right?
No,
How are you going to answer that question?
There was no answer for me, because
at least not verbally.
No,
Yeah.
there was not. I'm not sure if I could even spoke at that point.
Yeah.
What do you say when your kid asks you a question like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I was in a meeting this morning with a guy, and he was talking about how there really is very little failure in life when you keep moving forward and learning from those times. And he was talking about a lot from the corporate standpoint that he came from, and marketing new products and so on and so forth. But I think that's true in life. Like, it's kind of that whole failing forward kind of deal. As long as you're learning and growing, I mean, none of us are perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have letdowns. Sometimes the failure's on our part. Sometimes it has nothing to do with decisions we made. It's just the circumstances we're in. And all those God can work and put us where we never thought we'd be. Yeah. And, that's an amazing way. He's all knowing, all loving, and all powerful God. So.
Yeah, Doug, I love the comment you made a moment ago, wish more days could be Sunday type aspect. And that reminds me, and Daryl and I have spoke about this several times on the redemption story, again, not to be redundant with that piece, but it's one of my favorite questions to ask the members and even talk to Daryl about is, the challenge the congregation gets from the church, Daryl, you, the leadership team, don't just let this be the hour you're here on Sunday. Put it to work Monday through Saturday the whole week. Your perspective, how can we make that happen and make it a part of our daily lives?
Obviously prayer. I can tell you, I think I started as a well coach selfishly because I knew coming in on Wednesday that I was going to get another sermon. And it was for the kids, but I felt like it was for me. I just feel like, I can't get enough. I listen to a lot of different music, but I listen to, I listen to Caleb, or I listen to The Message. I listen to a lot of, I'll hear a song I like and it'll get saved to a playlist. But I think, just constantly being able to worship God, and with that music, I just can't help but do it. But I think it's a really big thing, and it's a small thing, just a change in music. And I'm not going to say I listen to it 100% because I don't. But anymore, 3 times out of 4, that's what I'll be listening to.
So being new in the role, how can we, the members of the church, help you? What can we do?
I think you can help me by just being more involved. There are tons of opportunities to volunteer. There are holes, we've got close to 2,000 people here a lot of weeks, and there's still holes. And there's a lot more people that are going to, be getting shoulder tapped, because I know people that have the heart for it. That aren't doing it just because I don't think that they've necessarily had a personal invitation. I think it's a lot different, whether it's me or Daryl or LG or somebody else on the stage saying, fill out this Connect form and, volunteer and do this or that. That's one thing to hear that. But, when I come up to you and say, Kevin, I've got a hole, I need somebody on the second floor, greeting and handing out communion. I think that goes a lot farther. So there'll be a lot more of that, I hope.
Like that. Well, Daryl, one message is watch out if you go to the walk to Emmaus with Daryl. You never know what he's going to be
That's
praying
right.
about, right?
That's very true.
But the other message is what a great representative to join your team.
Absolutely, 100%. Couldn't think of a more DNA redemption filled person than Doug. So it's fun. It's good. We're excited.
Doug, we're all excited for you, and we sense the excitement that you bring in that regard. Daryl called you easygoing, but excitement's all abound regardless of what the exterior may appear in that regard.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more on the inside
Yeah.
than what comes out on the outside. Being in business for yourself for years, you have to deal with people, and most people are a lot easier to deal with when you're not too loud and get upset with people.
Yeah.
So I think that has contributed to, my pretty laid back attitude is, you get to yelling at people, it doesn't get you anywhere.
Maturation of life's a wonderful thing, is it not?
It is.
It is fantastic. Well, if you've not met Doug, you don't know Doug, see him in the lobby. Come into the church. He'd be more than happy to meet with you. But come and challenge him a bit to challenge you so we can be involved and help this church continue to bring the message outside of the Sundays. Doug, God bless you. We love you. We're proud of you, and super to have you with us. Thank you for the 2 weeks.
Appreciate it.